Baada ya raundi 18 ligi kuu ya taifa nchini, farasi ni wawili, Polisi na wanamvinyo Tusker. Draw ya klabu bingwa barani Ulaya imefanyika hii leo. Real Madrid wanakibarua dhidi ya vijana wa Pep Guardiola, nazungumzia Manchester City katika mchuano ule wa maondoano. Hujambo mpenzi mtazamaji na karibu katika makala ya The Football Slip. Mimi ni wako Hassan Juma. Naam, tuna mengi ambayo tutazungumzia tu, manake mdahalo babu kubwa ni mchuano ule babu kubwa, mchuano ambao unasubiriwa kwa hamu na hamumu, mchuano kati ya Arsenal na Manchester City, mchuano ambao utachezwa katika uga ambao naupenda sana, manake nimeuzuru uga wa Emirates. Kwa hivyo ndio mchuano ambao tunauangazia hii leo. Arsenal is going to host Man City at the Emirates in the Premier League this weekend. Who will be humbled? Who will be humbled? Talk to us. I'm on X at Hassan Juma. My colleague Robinson Okenya is on the same platform. R_Okenya is at Dennis Otachi. That is our producer. Of course, I'm not alone in this show. Niko na wenyewe. They don't look so happy though. Hey, so what's not happening? You're not happy, man.
No, we are happy.
Arabisa is not playing. so relax. How was your week been, bro?
No, my week was quite okay, and I was so happy.
As long as Arabisa is not playing.
No, I was also so happy to see Real Madrid actually grinding itself to the round of playoff, which and again would have been a disastrous if at all a team of such magnitude would have crashed out of that particular tournament, which and again I think it was maybe your wish so as to languish where the Manchester.
You know where my heart is, but
I know, but you need such kind of a team actually to give you kind of part of your back.
Don't make it so obvious.
It's obvious simply because your team is struggling.
I'm not in red.
Anyway, it was okay on my side.
Rogers Eshtemi, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Kwema, you good?
Kabisa, nashukuru. Yeah, it's another week. As always, yeah, we are here to dissect and break it down the way it's supposed to be. And it hasn't been that way good week.
I know Robinson want to cut me short. The thing with Rogers Eshtemi, he called me on Tuesday. No, it was not Tuesday, on Saturday. Because, you know, him and I work on Saturday. And he told me that a fan...
Are you trying to say that I don't work on Saturday?
You don't. A fan, a fan had approached him and told him that normally I don't let him finish his thoughts on this show.
But Robin, it's true.
But you know I have to manage time.
No. Let me
That's
cut
so
it
hard
short.
on guys.
Yes, but I have to manage time.
Let me cut it short. This is fun.
Gentlemen.
That is Bosco Wasiema. He said Okenya is rushing the show. Expected you guys to talk about the individual brilliance of some players in our Premier League. Unfortunately, we are rushing it.
Bosco Washali.
Wasiema.
Bosco Wasiema. Yes, I know as much as we would like to talk about the the Football Kenya Federation Premier League and the brilliance of some of the players. For example, what we saw a week or so ago from one of FC Leopards players. I mean, I also have to manage. We have a lot, like today, we have a lot to talk about. So I have to manage the time. Kila kitu ipate, at least kila mtu apate katonge. Ndio maana tusonge mbele. So, I mean, it's been a very interesting week and we have a lot to talk about. And I'm sure you're asking yourself where Hassan Juma is seated here. Yes. But for 1 month, we've been missing one gentleman. And today, we forced him to come back.
You know, there are two. Oh, the other one is almost 2 months.
Yeah, the other one, Nikama.
No.
Okay, I will not say it, but the gentleman is here. He is all the way from...
No. Who was forced to come?
Okay, you are forced to come.
Who was forced to come?
He's working with the
He
sword.
forced you to come. Hassan, give him his seat.
Does he even deserve a seat?
No, wait, before even he gives me the seat. I have been forced to come.
Yes.
Unajua unaweza fanya leo ni 31st.
Yeah.
Na bado haijakiriza.
Rudi nyumbani.
Ndio maana nimerudi.
Umechoka ukaa nyumbani.
Haijakiriza.
Haya.
Daniel Korir, take your man. Daniel Korir is our news editor.
Please let him assume his seat. Good to have you back. Good to have Daniel Kariuki back Good to have Daniel Kariuki back in the show. Kariuki, where have you been?
Yes, I'm looking to see if there are
Please,
changes.
Cheki. Tumeambiwa hapa tutaki watu waongee. So today leo na manage time. Where have you been?
Lakini ana mimi nakubaliana. Umemwita nani huyo jamaa Shitemi?
Wasiema.
Huyu jamaa tukatiza sana. But anyway, I've been on leave. And I've also
2 months.
2 months.
Was it paternity leave? Just asking, I don't know.
Now I've been on leave, and I've also realized that when I'm on leave,
Is it annual leave or paternity?
But Juma,
Why
I
is
know
this
you just want to go direct to the point. Just look at the design, From the bottom. Hey.
Can
wait.
Okay, can we have a close-up of this? Kyoko, let's have a close-up of this.
Hii close up tuangalie.
Jamaa amenona hadi magoti zinararua trouser.
Rare things.
Ana trouser.
Jamaa amenona hadi magoti zinararua trouser.
Surely I've
Just
just come back.
because-
See, even hata mnikaribisha tu. Yani,
Ndaka tukaribishaje tuimbe, tukuimbie.
Yani,
Okay.
I've also realized when I'm when I was on leave.
Yes.
I've been following keenly. Kumbe Robbie come at niwe nisiwepo. I am the content.
Kori.
No, you are not the content. The thing is,
Surely this person is always on my
Kurudi
case.
Kizungu imepotea. Karibu aongee Kikuyu hapa.
there, of course, good to have Korir. Not Korir. Now, umefanya Korir ikaingia kwa akili. Kariuki, good to have you back. But let's quickly recap what has been happening this week. But before we recap the week, let's begin by taking a look at our Twitter poll tonight. The question we're asking you is very simple. Arsenal are hosting Manchester City at the Emirates this weekend, and who will be humbled? The question that the reason that we are asking who will be humbled. Remember when they first met in the first leg, we had Manchester City striker, that is Haaland, telling Arsenal coach, that is Arteta, to stay humble. So who is going to humble the other one this weekend? That is the question that we're asking. Remember, you can SMS us on 22151. It's a toll-free number. You can tell us your views on who's going to win this tie, and of course give us your thoughts on how that match will be. Aside from this, let's quickly recap how the week has been, and we begin with Tusker FC forward. Who am I talking about? That is Brian Ogabi, was named as the S-Jack Player of the Month after scoring 13 goals for Tusker, and in doing so he's contributed among the 23 goals that they've scored so far this season. Eshtemi, briefly, Brian Ogabi, he's wanted by clubs from Algeria, and he's the Player of the Month. How has his season been?
I think he has been phenomenal, and I think this gives credit to the coach who decided to maybe switch him off from a defender to a striker. Initially, he was a defender at Rainbow. Right now, he's now scoring goals of 15 goals. I think out of like 14 matches or so, he's no mean feat, and that tells you indeed he's a person on form. And also, he went to Around the Stars and scored also on his maybe I think second match appearance for national team. It tells you that this guy is just in a form of his life, and given chance, if by chance maybe he happened to leave Tusker, because the deadline is supposed to be tonight, and Algiers were trying, the US Algiers were trying maybe to try to capitalize on the player's release, because Tusker are keen not to release him. They know if they release him, then their chances of winning the title are so slim. So maybe let's wait and see what will happen before midnight. If he happens to go, well and good. But if he doesn't, maybe he can look forward to go after Chan.
Sedo, you have 30 seconds. Should he leave Tusker or stay?
It's quite tricky. If Tusker necessarily focusing on maybe going ahead and clinching this trophy come this season, they need actually to hang on their top scorer. And again, it also tells where the player heart actually lies most. Maybe he's looking for to go and improve his kind of career, and the path has just presented itself. Remember, 6 months from now, it won't be quite easy again to find the form that he is in currently. And if the opportunity presents itself right now, I would advise the player maybe to advance his agenda and go to try to USM. Who knows? The league in Algeria is quite competitive compared to ours. And once he actually lands him, he patches on that kind of grounds, it may be an avenue for him maybe to advance his course and find a better club thereafter.
Sedo, let's take a look at the next moment that has highlighted this week. And Sedo, I want your thoughts on this, because this is something that we've been talking about. These two teams, that is Dimba Patriots and SS Assad, they failed to honor their matches this week. Are we going in the right direction?
Yeah, you see, we have a new office in plan, and remember, it's quite actually to reverse what they inherited inside there.
But
there are so many things that... I know. There are so many things actually are bogging this particular office that it has just come in, the Marigas and the Hussein. And there are so many things that they will need to put together. And you understand, when you come in, there are so many angles of sabotages. There will be match fixing, there will be dishonoring, there will be in this disarray of things. You need actually to assemble, and it will take them time, maybe 6 months down the line to assemble it. And remember also, it's quite hard to reverse things that you have inherited in the office until the end of that particular season. So those things that we'll be expecting to happen in any given league, may it be nationwide or the FKFPL.
Ejtemi, your thoughts on this briefly? I
think the new office has been there for almost 6 days. I think they haven't hit the ground running yet, because such things shouldn't be happening right now. Because also looking...
And they were punished by the federation.
Yeah, they are punished. But, there's a lot of legality being involved, because there are just committees that have been formed. But, they are toothless as we speak, because there's a lot that entail before those committees come into form. But at the moment, most of them can declare those judgments. But if somebody goes to court and challenge them, then it will be null and void. So it's a tricky situation for them. They have to go back to the drawing board and know exactly whatever they promise Kenyans, they need to hit the ground running and deliver it, because everybody is watching them.
Everybody's watching them. Another moment, Cedric, 30 seconds. We have Kenyan superstar, that is Timothy Ouma, moving from Elfsborg to Slavia Praha. What do you have to say? 470 million Kenya shillings.
I'm now happy. Having watched him actually our game in Malawi, the tournament, to have the 4 nation tournament that we have, and also having watched him in Uganda actually trying to represent us, and I was not quite a fan how he was being played. At times he was being played at defensive midfielder, and at times you could actually hear him being deployed as a winger from back at the club. And again, I did actually quite find if he has got that pace to torment and maybe try to attract the interest from the several clubs. Thereafter, the club started looking for him, and maybe it's that intuitivity that he presents. Remember, playing in the offensive line as the midfielder and then coming to fall back as the defender and the defensive line, it actually presents a quite valuable kind of asset. Any other club that will actually come for your value. And that's why the likes of Timothy Otieno maybe has been able to attract the interest of several clubs. And kindly, as he is currently, he's now approaching the value of the bigger clubs of the football that we have associated ourselves with. And maybe that might be just a God-listened kind of an avenue. He presents his case well, let money not sink into his head. But he goes nowadays, he's still young, and he can still assume some kind of stride moving forward. We want to see him in EPL. Let him not actually fly to Saudi Arabia or whatsoever, but we want to see him in EPL, La Liga, and maybe Bundesliga and those bigger other celebrated kind of leagues.
15 seconds. Your thoughts on this move?
I think
you're among the first people to break it.
Yeah, he's just following the footsteps of other Kenyans. That is from Olunga to Joseph Okumu to Eric
And he's
Marcelo.
also come to a league where we have Kenyan female football star.
Yeah, that is Majolin Nekesa. She plays the same club, but now the ladies side. Now I was talking about maybe the transition of Kenyan players, because you see Sweden looks to be maybe a good stepping stone for most of the Kenyan players. We saw where Olunga came from to go to other clubs. We saw where Joseph Okumu came from to go to League One. We saw where now Marcelo Eric Ouma came from to go to Polish Giants. That tells you indeed there's a good platform in Sweden, and indeed if you get your best during that particular moment, you have a chance of going to other bigger clubs. Because I remember this particular guy, that is Timothy Babu Ouma, initially had attracted interest from Empoli in Italy. That is way back while he was still playing for in the Europa. But I feel he still has many years ahead of him. If he keeps his head down, and maybe just what Cedric has spoken about, maybe money not confusing him, his destiny is for greatness.
Yes, let's take a look at Cedric. Leo nimesema tuna manage time. Let's take a look at other moments making headlines this week. Aside from that, we had the CAF, of course, AFCON Cup 2025 draw taking place. Of course, the championships will be held in Morocco. Aside from that, remember we had the Champions League matches taking place this week, where we had Manchester City, of course, defeating Club Brugge 3-1 and qualifying to the to play playoffs of the Champions League, because it's a new format. Aside from Manchester City, we also had PSG, a club that needed that 4-1 win against Stuttgart to make it to that playoff round, and it happened, so they are in the playoff round. So aside from this, we also had other moments this week that were making headlines. Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, got a win against FCSB yesterday, and aside from Manchester United, we have some big games this weekend. Let's take a look at the big games that we have this weekend, and we begin with the Serie A, where we do have AS Roma hosting Napoli. The table-topping team will be taking on AS Roma. Aside from that, we also have another game, big game in Serie A. AC Milan will be taking on Inter Milan. It's the Milan derby, very, very fierce. And the biggest game in England, we'll see Arsenal at the Emirates host Manchester City. Now, aside from this, we have the cartoon of the week, where we have Gams, of course, telling us why Kenya will be watching AFCON 2025 from home, while other teams will be participating. Deno, can we take a look at that cartoon? The cartoon for the weekend, where we have Gams telling us why we are watching that. So we'll be coming back to that cartoon in a bit. Dennis is trying to locate it where it is, but the cartoon is by Gams. Now, Hassan, as we continue with this conversation, because I don't want to dwell on it, mtu wa Murima, Deno amepata, nilikuwa nafikiria amepata cartoon. Mtu wa Murima.
Ni mtu wa Chelsea, what do you expect?
Hata ipata.
Mtu wa Murima. Champions League draw. Nataka tuingie Champions League draw kwanza. No, not even Champions League. Wacha tuanze na CAF. The CAF AFCON 2025 draw was done this week. We have a couple of teams that have been drawn. Remember, this probably is the first time that we don't have a group of death. Wacha tuanze na group A. Yenye kona the host, Morocco. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a very good group. Looking at Morocco, they play some good football, and they have also been to the World Cup. And looking at Zambia, they qualified in a very interesting way. And I think also combined with Mali and Comoros, it will not be very much a hassle for the hosts. The host might get to the finals. Not finals, but might go through the group stages. And that's Group A. But what is interesting is Group C, I would say.
Group B.
Tunaenda moja kwa moja.
Ni moja kwa moja. Group B kuna Egypt, South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe.
Ni unajua kidogo ninaenda niki pole. It's day 2. Yeah. So Group B.
You see, had Kenya, performed well in the group,
yes, ingekuwa kwa Zimbabwe. Lakini now, definitely they had their own issues. You remember hata hatuna uwanja, so hata kufika hapa Group B was a struggle. But looking at that group also, Egypt, South Africa, Angola, I think Egypt and South Africa are very good teams. You remember South Africa have a very good team.
They were semi-finalists in the last
AFCON.
Yes.
And also Egypt, you look at the players, you look at the kind of
successful country when you talk about
AFCON. Now matters to do with the AFCON. So hapo pia nasema ni Egypt, South Africa going for
now that tulirukia Group C. Tuambie.
Tumefika. Nigeria, Tunisia, Uganda, Tanzania. Nafikiria, I think Uganda and Tanzania being in one group, that to me I felt like tumefinywa kidogo ESC, bearing in mind that it's the only, or rather there are 3 teams that are representing ESC, and Uganda, Tanzania are the teams that we believe they have a good game. I think they would have been maybe put in another group. In East Africa. In East Africa. I want to be very keen. I've said East Africa.
Hakuna mambo ati yote.
Mbona usiseme kundi la cha limepangwa kulingana na matokeo, jinsi matokeo yatakavyokuwa katika michuano ya makundi.
Naomba kufanya nini? I don't want to agree with you on that, because Tanzania and Uganda, comparing Uganda and Tanzania, I think hata kama nimekuwa live hapo kidogo you are off, because Tanzania is doing some very good unaweza kuwa live.
Wanafanya nini? What is he saying? What is he saying?
Tanzania is playing good football, I believe.
So in 2019, Tanzania and Kenya were in the same group. Kenya defeated Tanzania. Now, remember, Uganda was in a different group, but they didn't manage to make it all through to the knockout stages. But now, Uganda, Tanzania, same group, as well as Tunisia and Nigeria. Remember, Nigeria went all through in the last edition.
Ruby, I carry different opinion when it comes to that particular group, as opposed to what Karif is saying. Because you follow this Uganda, they have had a different kind of philosophy when it comes to such tournaments. They qualified as #1 in their group.
They beat
group
Guinea.
South Africa, if you remember. Even South Africa, actually, they were fearing Uganda when they were meeting Uganda. Home and away, it was a very strong team if you compare. Back to 2019, as you say, they played against Egypt.
Yes.
Very beautiful soccer. They know how to drive that when the likes of Lumala in that particular time, the likes of Wadada. It's a kind of a team that they go to ultimate stage with a purpose. And when they are there, I think in East Africa is a team that can actually attract my eye. And they make me actually hook that particular screen. When it comes to Africa Cup of Nations, you might be so surprised even if you see Uganda and either Tunisia or Nigeria advancing in particular. And remember, we have a third loser position, which means the three from this particular group, they can advance to round of 16. So as to say, Uganda is not a pushover in this particular group, given how they have qualified. And if you go by the magnitude of the player that he carried in this particular tournament, if they carry the same form that they actually did during the qualification, it's a team that can pull a surprise in that particular group.
Shtemi, now that everybody has spoken about this group, tuangalie tu hizo groups zingine. Sasa unajua atasema tu kile Sedo amesema, cause I know he has the same sentiments now.
Alafu unajua Shtemi comes from, I think, Busia, so atasema tu Uganda will win the group.
So Group D, we do have Senegal, Congo, Benin, and Botswana. And that Group E, you have Algeria, Burkina Faso, Equatorial Guinea, and Sudan. And that Group F, we do have Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Gabon, and Mozambique. Now, Shtemi, Group F, you have the defending champions, that is Ivory Coast. And in the last Africa Cup of Nations, the two teams, that is Ivory Coast and Cameroon, were still in the same group. What are your expectations there?
I think it's quite an interesting group. Bearing in mind that the three teams there come from West Africa, so it's going to be a West African derby. That is Gabon, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, and then Mozambique are coming down the south. So I think just comparing to the other group whereby Uganda, Tanzania are being pulled against the giants, I feel this one is going to be a closely contested group, and it will be all about getting the 3 points, because a draw can as well maybe send you back home. So based on what happened in Ivory Coast, I feel Cameroon are coming here wounded compared to Cote d'Ivoire, because Cote d'Ivoire managed to bounce back strongly and ended up winning this title. So it's another platform for the indomitable Lions to show the world that indeed, yes, you are the Africa giants, but this is the moment to prove it that, yes, we can rule the continent.
Odo Buriba, Hassan, tutakuja hapo. Unajua unataka kwenda kwa nini? Senegal, but tutakuja hapo because we are about to take a break. And which colors are you wearing?
Me? See, black. This, I think, is navy blue. Why are you talking of colors?
It looks like black. So let's move on to the Champions League draw that was done today. And a very, very interesting fixture. We'll see Manchester City take on Real Madrid. But let me quickly take you through the fixtures that we have. Brest will be taking on PSG. And then Monaco will be in action against Benfica. Atalanta will be taking on Club Brugge. Sporting take on Dortmund. Manchester City take on Real Madrid. Celtic will be facing Bayern Munich. Juventus host PSV. And Feyenoord take on AC Milan. Cedric, let's begin with the biggest match of the playoff. Real Madrid versus Manchester City.
I like how actually you have paraphrased it. I think it goes contrary to a few minute statement that actually you put on the table there. The likes of being the biggest club in the world. Now at least you have now reversed and gone to Real Madrid, which is the biggest, really the biggest club
defending
in the world.
Champions. You can never rule out the defending champions.
Thank you. As opposed
the most successful and the defending champions.
But I remember him actually coughing the word of Manchester United being the best team in the world, if you remember.
No, it's me. You know, according to me.
Yeah, this is a team.
But they're not in the
we're talking about Champions League.
Hassan. Hassan, listen, Hassan. This is a team that when it comes to UEFA, which is and again is seen as one of the best tournaments in the world, it's a team that actually walks through other teams up to the final, and they end up actually taking this cup back to Santiago Bernabeu. As it is right now, they have tried actually to confuse the permutation by bringing in a new formula. But still, it has found itself into the round of 16, right?
Yes.
And it has telling us a story like, we have a team that it takes, a team that is playing without a rightful defense, but it's still grinding points. Yeah. A team that is actually bringing in some new, like the likes of Adagula. Very youngsters, the likes of Asensio in that particular center back. But they're still grinding points. as opposed to the likes of Manchester City, which, and again, is not quite sure how it has been grinding points in the back yesterday's, going by the kind of cases that is actually accumulated in their dockets. It's facing a team that has been bound and has been winning against them. So, as to say, Real Madrid psychologically is facing Manchester United, knowing that Manchester City, knowing that this is a team that we have beaten before, and maybe moving forward is not a team that can. And remember, they are starting away from home. If they manage to pull like a draw away from home and then go back to Santiago Bernabeu, whereby everything will be played in an enclosed environment, even temperature will actually be modified.
I know that's where you're going.
It's a team that's going to collect.
Let's take a look at the road to Munich 2025 in the Champions League. Now, this is what happened. So, the winner between Brest and PSG will meet either Liverpool or Barcelona. Very, very interesting. The draw will be done. Club Brugge versus Atalanta will meet either Lille or Aston Villa. City versus Real Madrid will meet Atletico or Leverkusen. Juventus versus PSV will meet either Arsenal or Inter Milan. Another interesting fixture we have there. Monaco versus Benfica will meet either Barcelona or Liverpool. Sporting versus Dortmund, the winner will meet either Aston Villa or Lille. And then you have Celtic versus Bayern, the winner will meet either Atletico or Leverkusen. Feyenoord versus Milan, it's either Inter or Arsenal. Very, very interesting fixtures. Now, let's move away from Champions League. Eshtemi, let's get into the Europa League. The draw was done today. Eshtemi, briefly, this is the draw. Fenerbahce will be, Twente will be taking on Bodo. Fenerbahce, Anderlecht, Union Saint-Gilloise will be taking on Ajax. PAOK will be facing FCSB. And the other fixture, remember, we have the likes of Porto will be facing Roma. Ferencváros take on Victoria. Midtjylland versus Real Sociedad as Alkmaar face Galatasaray. Which fixture are you looking forward to, Eshtemi, in this knockout for the playoffs of Europa?
I think Porto and Roma.
Porto and Roma.
Yeah, presents us a very interesting fixture because you find some of the players have the...
Some of the top players.
Some of the top players, definitely. Yeah, you find they have played in Roma and also played in Porto, or rather Portugal. So it presents a very exciting match, and I feel maybe looking also on how both teams are playing their trade currently in their respective leagues, that is Syria and Portugal league.
Yes.
I think Porto has what it takes to maybe to oust Roma, because Roma haven't been that strong, because they have been having a lot of issues back home, and it's evident on how they have been performing.
So let's take a look at the route to Bilbao 2025. Remember, the finals will be played in Bilbao. So the winner between Ferencváros and Victoria Plzen plays either Lazio or Atletico. FC Twente versus Bodo plays either Olympiacos or Rangers. Union Saint-Gilloise versus Ajax plays either Frankfurt or Lyon. As Alkmaar versus Galatasaray plays either Manchester United or Tottenham. Again, Porto Roma, you play against the two, Fenerbahce Anderlecht against Rangers against or Olympiacos. The draw will be done. PAOK FSSB, Lyon or Frankfurt, and then Midtjylland against Real Sociedad, Tottenham or Manchester United. We know Manchester United will not want to face Real Sociedad. Hassan, what are the fans saying before we take a break?
Mashabiki, jumbe ni nyingi tu. Nani huyu Hassani, hata ukicheka kizungu, makao makuu ya Afrika ni Kenya. Mimi bado kiongozi wenu Liverpool, Masinde kutoka Soy, Kamnuran. Arsenal to win. I'm Joshua Okenye. Your brother is...
Bro, I don't have a brother.
Because I know your brothers. I know your relatives. Hey, Joshua Okenye from Kisii.
Kaka, we need to take a break.
Mtomlima. Ngoja Mtomlima, amekuja leo na pupa. Mwenye pupa hadiriki kula tamu hapa. Arsenal to win. Man City, Man City, Arsenal to win. As a Real Madrid fan, Man City to win 3-1. Mark Muridi watching from Kirinyaga County. Arsenal will be humbled this weekend. Karaoke, I know Manchester is always a Manchester. Manchester, okay. Hello, I'm Michael Olali from Siaya, Ugenya. About Man City and Arsenal, my wife is City too. My wife, okay. My wife is City too. 1 Arsenal. Arsenal to be humbled.
Hassan, jumbe ni mingi, but remember, we are asking you this weekend, the biggest fixture we'll see Arsenal at the Emirates taking on Manchester City. Who will be humbled? who will be humbled? Is it going to be Arsenal or is it going to be Manchester City? We'll be coming back to that conversation after this short break.
Manze